Years ago, the innovative idea for Casting for Recovery was born, a unique brainchild sprung from the lucky collaboration of its co-founders, Gwen Perkins, a professional fly fisher, and Dr. Benita Walton, a breast reconstruction surgeon, also a fly fisher. This is Margot Page, and I was there, and I am here now to provide you with a brief peek into the very beginnings of Casting for Recovery, and to highlight the legacy you are all now putting so much devotion and time into perpetuating. In the fall of 1995, I was called into my friend Gwen's office one afternoon in Manchester, Vermont, to help her bring her marvelous idea into being. An idea only a few weeks old, which, in her professional capacity, she had already dangled in front of CNN, or was it NBC? Whoever the contact was, CFR was an irresistible dry fly. The reporter rose to the fly and took it hard. CFR was just in its larval stage. All of a sudden, the three of us, Gwen, Benita, and I, had to quickly make good on this delicious idea Gwen had enticed the reporter with by enlisting more supporters for it, creating a solid program model, and finding local women with breast cancer on whom we could test it. Gwen called in a handful of other women fly fishers to form CFR's first advisory board. And over the next few months, sitting on her comfy living room couches, we hammered out the beginnings of CFR.
Oh my God, this is fantastic. I mean, who wants to go to a physical therapist's office? They're ugly and everything. You can get physical therapy and do something beautiful, and you have to concentrate so hard about making this line straight that you forgot that your arm is sore.
Our original vague mission stemmed from our passionate desire to give solace and comfort to women who had experienced breast cancer. Being fly fishers, we believed wholeheartedly in the soothing power of the natural world, and Dr. Benita Walton's medical and scientific expertise provided us with the solid basis for the physiological benefits. So just how exactly would we shape this experience to give women the brief respite from their pain and worries as we envisioned? I remember our early days of deciding how long the retreats would last, what each hour might offer to the participants, and discussing how intensely we should focus on the fly fishing instruction, how to incorporate medical education, and the delicate art of the psychosocial session. We decided that a spiritual healing component was vital, but how would we conduct it and make it non-denominational? Then, how to find the necessary gear to outfit 12 to 14 women. Our favorite part of the early meetings was planning the thoughtful, fun goodie bags we would give to the participants and selecting the music and readings. The women's comfort and well-being was of paramount importance to us, and despite the fits and starts and our occasional differences of opinion, we always came back to the why and the who of our program. Strong egos would always need to take a back seat to our mission.
That's what it's all about, is just getting out there and helping other people do something that they enjoy. And if I can get them out of the labs or the hospital rooms to forget about their diagnosis, even for 10 or 15 minutes, then my job's been accomplished.
We spent a lot of time visiting the area of funding, and the question of whether to charge participants for the retreats came up often as the reality of the fundraising burden we would incur sank in. But always we came back to our passion to give completely to these survivors, and we bravely, some might say foolishly, adhered to our no-cost principle, hoping against hope that it could endure in the future.
A group formed here in Vermont is taking on the mental aspect of cancer by taking to the great outdoors. Casting for Recovery is an effort to help patients and survivors of breast cancer cope with their disease by learning to take up fly fishing.
Those of us who formed the early core of CFR shared a bold vision that this would be a program with self-supporting retreats staffed by volunteers in every state in the U.S. That was easy to dream about in our early days, but over the next few years, the difficulties of perpetuating and expanding state by state, program by program became clear. Luckily, the media continued to highlight our efforts at every turn, giving us credibility, and we used that exciting early media coverage as fodder to bring in valuable sponsors, donations, and more dedicated volunteers. Somehow, Casting for Recovery survived and thrived. We, the Mothers of Invention, as I think of our original group, never dared dream that 15 years out, our national vision would be within sight. We never dared really believe that our magical program, our baby, Casting for Recovery, would live so long and touch so many thousands of women and men, participants and their families, volunteers and sponsors, to become their passion and change their lives as it had changed ours those early years. After about 4 to 5 years of serving on the board, events in my personal life demanded that I relinquish my role in CFR and pass it on to the next generation of stewards who would bring to it fresh ideas and energy. I left CFR in capable hands then, and returning now, 15 years after its birth, to a Casting for Recovery under exciting new visionary stewardship, I am still moved daily and still often to tears by the journeys of the women we serve, the continually passionate commitment of CFR's sponsors and supporters, and the dedication of its astounding volunteers across the nation and even the oceans who have made our original hopes and dreams come true.
This is Kate Fox, Casting for Recovery's National Program Director. I first got involved with CFR some years after my mother received her breast cancer diagnosis and treatment. To mark what was an important anniversary for her, 5 years out from treatment, I decided to volunteer as a river helper in 2000. Though my mom lives in Michigan, I knew I would best honor her by helping other breast cancer survivors at a retreat in my own backyard, Vermont. During my first few volunteer experiences as a river helper and fly fishing instructor, I met some incredible women who happened to be my neighbors and who shared their powerful stories. And I was vaguely aware that CFR offered other retreats serving women in 9 states. When I was asked by Gwen Perkins to join the Board of Trustees in 2002, I became educated about the widespread demand for Casting for Recovery in many other areas of the country that we weren't yet serving. It wasn't just women in Michigan or Vermont or Massachusetts. There were women in Texas and Idaho and Missouri and Ohio who needed to benefit from this life-changing program. And guess what? Thanks to the belief in our mission by many supporters and the powerful evidence of the special emotional and physical healing that CFR encourages, we grew.
And we're back with our special Women and Breast Cancer series. Today I'm going to take you to a special place for breast cancer survivors. It is a program called Casting for Recovery, which held a weekend retreat on Long Island. I got to meet some incredible women, and as you'll see, we laughed, we cried, and yes, we fished.
When I met many of my fellow volunteers at our last national conference in 2006, CFR had conducted retreats in 23 states. Let me tell you, I was so proud to be part of a strong national organization and to rejoice with all in how far we'd come. I've been fortunate to have a special vantage point in my personal journey in a river of CFR, which started with the small pool of inspiration bubbling into existence in 1996. Over my years as a volunteer, I saw the pool widen, deepen, and build channels. As an employee, I've been able to experience firsthand how our well-conceived and effective program takes on the unique spirit of the many volunteers who serve in the 30 states in which we currently operate. As a volunteer today, I still love to stand alongside participants and watch the behind-the-scenes work we all do have an impact on women's lives, one woman at a time. and it's still amazing to learn every day about women who want to make us part of their journey. The ripples are still spreading, and I'm so honored to be involved in making it happen.
I was raised with volunteerism. It is part of my family's heritage, and long before Gandhi's famous quote was planted on motivational billboards, my parents' own mantra was, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." I am Lori Simon, and what drew me to Casting for Recovery was the ability to work so closely with volunteers and watch their love and ability change women's lives. It happens slowly, this change. You can see it in the many photos from the retreats. Hesitant Friday arrival faces morph into grins of gladness and release on Sunday. And it is the volunteer hours spent in preparation for the retreats that allow this transformation to happen so swiftly. Well-choreographed opportunities to share, learn, and ease burdens held in the shadows of sadness. What you give to others is a silent but audible thank you, and is an appreciation of ourselves and others. It is the personification of life and spirit in each of us. Hanging on the wall of my office is the saying, "What would you attempt to do if you knew you could not fail?" Each of us holds the power to be the change we wish to see in the world. It spreads beyond the tangible faces of our retreat participants and out to the far corners of this country. I see a woman who needs Casting for Recovery more than she herself even knows. To me, her name is Vivian, and she is my sister, my friend, my mother. Or she is your aunt, your coworker, or church member. She sits beside me on the airplane, she speaks to me over the radio, or serves me in the restaurant. She received her diagnosis today or 10 years ago. Vivian may be one of the 70% of breast cancer patients who never attend a support group out of fear, frustration, or lack of available resources. She may be facing life-altering decisions alone or surrounded by loved ones. I see Vivian every day. Casting for Recovery sees Vivian every day. She is on a 3-year waiting list to attend a retreat. She doesn't know our program is available. Or she knows about us, but there is no program in her state. Whatever the reason for our inability to help her makes no difference. We have the power, the knowledge, and the volunteers to reach every Vivian. What does it take to be of assistance to Vivian? It takes a volunteer corps second to none. With over 1,500 volunteers, CFR has the strength in numbers and the power of conviction. I have always believed that the best way to predict the future is to invent it. Casting for Recovery was invented 15 years ago, and building on that solid foundation will allow us to help the Vivians of the world. You may ask, what can I do from my state? You can join me on this journey to find and reach out to Vivian. Currently, there are 20 states with no Casting for Recovery program. It takes many volunteer man-hours, hours of staff training, adequate funding, and building a sustainable program to present Vivian with this gift of solace and respite. As I have had the opportunity to meet so many of you, it has been refreshing to find in our midst people who still have the time to be kind, those who still have the faith to believe that the more you give, the more you receive, and those who are ready by thought, word, and deed to reach out a hand in times of distress. A pessimist, they say, sees a glass of water as being half empty. An optimist sees the same glass as half full. But a giving person sees a glass of water and starts looking for someone who might be thirsty. You can count on me as CFR's current executive director to quench the thirst of those who need our assistance, as I hope I can count on you. You are the backbone of Casting for Recovery. You help us stand straight and true, and your unwavering dedication is intoxicating. Vivian and her sisters need to meet each of you so that they will see your commitment to our mission. This journey is filled with joy, hope, courage, and strength, not only for the survivors we serve, but for all of us. Our hearts will be filled with light as we seek and find the Vivians of our world. To me, Kindness is an inner desire that makes us want to do good things even if we get nothing in return. And when I give without thought of gain, I experience pure joy. As Eleanor Roosevelt so aptly stated, the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Will you join me on this journey and in this dream? Vivian needs you.
Butterfly kisses at night.
It's a good learning lesson.
Yeah,
right
see how easy that is.
What a wonderful addition to the West Michigan area if I was able to bring that here, and that's what I did. A lot of help from others. There's no way I could do this alone. And just sharing life and laughter and joys and sorrows together. And when I look at a river, I guess I will never think of it as the same, because I'll picture maybe women all around the country and in Canada, you know, standing in those rivers or being a part of those rivers.